talk, it's time to rock. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce to you that I am the umpire today. If there is a squabble between the Australian on the show and the Englishman on the show in relation to what's happening with the Ashes cricket series, the Australian's happy because they've already won it, but you never know what an Englishman might do when they're down and out, you see. So I'm going to adjudicate any nastiness from the Englishman. Actually, you guys are doing pretty well.
We're doing right today. I'm checked the score this morning, so I'm blaming my brother. It's a cricket bowling machine they all have, so clearly it's not working.
I'll always take an opportunity to talk about cricket. I love it, and especially if you want the best cricket in the world, it's obviously the Ashes series between the Aussies and the Poms. You can't beat it.
The Ashes.
You can't beat it, Brad.
No, they could beat the hell out of us, though.
And if anyone's watching from North America, they have absolutely no bloody idea what we're talking about, do they?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. That's right. We should keep go as long as possible on bewildering about cricket and nothing else. Can I say I was just watching something on whatever it is yesterday, and there was a thing about something when the All Blacks came up, and the All Blacks fine except orange boots. The All Blacks it should be banned. That's bannable. That is orange boots. A whole team with orange boots in.
Unfortunately,
my God.
Unfortunately, it's a sponsorship thing, so when you're chasing the corporate dollar, brother, when you're chasing the corporate dollar,
you have to wear orange boots. I thought it was from a traditional rugby point of view, it was an absolute disgrace.
I absolutely agree with you. But look, at the end of the day, it's okay. You're an Englishman. In your country, rugby, you got millions behind the game. But here, we've got to go begging.
Still better than us. It's working, clearly. The orange boots are working. What?
Have we got anyone here watching us, or is it just us?
No, we've got 12 people watching us. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. We'll do a bit of a roll call. We'll do a bit of a roll call soon, Andrew.
Okay, all right. Well, we've got 12 people watching.
Roll towards roll call.
Why aren't Is there anyone in the chat?
Yeah, there is. It's not showing up in StreamYard for some reason.
Chat.
Oh, I don't know. I never look at it in StreamYard.
Hey, guys.
I got the cheating version. Look, here's another one with the YouTube bit on.
I'm just watching it from StreamYards too, and I can't see any comments. Oh, I wonder what's going on here with StreamYards.
Hopefully we're streaming. If everyone can just give us a thumbs up.
Funny enough, some other people have had this trouble in the last where nothing. I mean, I've never seen them in StreamYard, so I never look at the chat in StreamYards. I always got it running in, on another device in YouTube. So I just have us. So I've never seen it. But apparently some other people have been saying the same thing. Oh, there's no chat in StreamYards, or it's gone off or something.
Okay, I'll just bring up YouTube so I can see what's happening.
See what's going on. But I don't know I don't know enough about StreamYards to work it out. While you're doing that, I don't know if you guys have got anything. I've got a couple of things to mention in passing. Whilst we're
sure. Yeah.
We should acknowledge the passing of Michael Nesmith from the Monkees.
Yep.
Lots of other things. He passed away this week.
Yeah.
Extraordinary guy, really, in many ways. But worth checking out. Some of his solo albums have. I can't remember. I was having a look just now, but some of them have very funny titles. And they only sold 4 copies. Here's another hit for you, kind of thing.
Okay.
And apparently, one of his albums, he had to spend $50,000 to as a sort of get rid of tax. So he just got every session man in LA to just come and jam this album. So he could just spend the money.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And of course, his mother invented liquid paper, which made him a large fortune on top of his musical stuff. But so we should acknowledge him. Yeah. Interesting guy. Really interesting guy.
Okay, guys, if you're watching in the chat, I can't highlight any comments on the show tonight, so forgive me. I don't know what's going on, but I can see I can't obviously cross edit from YouTube onto the StreamYards program, so we're very sorry about that. So if we've got some moderators there, we've got John, we've got Nelson, who's a moderator, and Mark Tanner. If you guys can just keep an eye on the chat for us, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and welcome, everyone. Welcome. Good to have you on board. We've got about 12 people. We'll do a roll call soon. We'll we'll let a few more people jump in. But
Cool.
How are you guys going anyway? We've got a wonderful album to go through today. Really looking forward to this. Great pick, Andrew. Great pick.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, brother. I'm wearing my Brad Cook t-shirt. Very, very happy to get that. And I must say that the artwork in the motif, the First Nations artwork in there, it's just fantastic.
Thanks, mate.
Top
You
top
and I,
work.
Brad. You and I are corporately aligned.
But, first thing I noticed was the First Nation motifs in there and the patterns, and yeah, very nice. Good call. Thank you, brother.
No worries. Thank you.
200 views on the show yesterday, guys, with Hoss.
Yeah,
already.
Very good. Yeah, including me.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I didn't get up in the middle of the night. I'm a lightweight. Watched it yesterday in the day.
It was a good show yesterday.
Yeah. Lots of things to come out of it as well. Lots of other stuff to come out, which is really cool.
Yeah. And Hoss showed off all of his promotional stuff, which was exclusive to the channel. So we're really grateful for that, Hoss. And I got really excited watching that, Andrew. Did you? I mean, it was like there was something quite magical about watching that. I think it's going to be quite a great show.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt and change the subject a little bit, but I'm gonna jump out now. I'm just remembering something here. If I jump out of StreamYards, the show should still continue, but I'm going to jump out and log back in and see if that fixes things. If by chance I cock it up, guys, the people watching, and have to start another stream, forgive us, but I'm just going to see if that's going to make a bit of a change.
Yeah.
Yes. Whilst we talk about, I noticed that 50 years ago this month we had ZZ Top's first album came out.
Yes.
Janis Joplin's Pearl, and of course Mountain's Nantucket Sleigh Ride.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what a Nantucket Sleigh Ride is, Brad?
No. Enlighten me.
I'm going to tell you what a Nantucket Sleigh Ride is. Just so I got 2 minutes. A Nantucket Sleigh Ride is Nantucket. It was the whaling station that all the whalers went out to, from North America to catch whales. And when they used to go out in a smaller boat, they go out in the front with a harpoon and a rope and stuff, and he would spear the whale, and of course the whale would then take off, towing the boat, and that was known as a Nantucket Sleigh Ride. You're in the boat being pulled around by a whale until you were. That's better. Back on. Well done.
Yeah, we're cooking. I don't know what happened there, but that's interesting. Jump in and jump out, or switch it on and switch it off, as they say. You ring these tech people, it's not working. Did you pull out the power plug?
Do you know what? As somebody who's worked in IT support lots of years ago, you'd be surprised how many times they hadn't switched it on. Somehow the power plug had got semi pulled out of the, or the cable between it. Just plug it back in properly. Oh, you have to start at the very bottom when you're going to diagnose anything. I mean, literally, as it turned on.
The only problem is we're not seeing the comments in StreamYard, Andrew. At least you can highlight the comments, which is good. So,
Are you seeing them, Andrew?
I'm seeing them. I'm seeing. So the last comment that I see here is the one that I made, which is saying that's worked. So has there been any other comments after that?
Yes, yes.
How do you see them in? Do you go into chat and then look at comments? Is that where they come?
Oh, it's just on my on the cockpit here.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. We can. I can still see the comments on YouTube because I've logged into that just now. So that's
okay. Okay. All right. We'll start the show, guys. So unfortunately, we can't. Yeah, that's a bummer. We always like to highlight comments, don't we? It's something that we like to do, but we can't do it.
No, you were doing it then. They were coming up for on my screen. They were coming up.
But there's no new comments after me putting that comment in. So there's definitely something wrong with StreamYards.
Okay, that's all right. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. You can jump in and out every now and again, Andrew, if you want.
Might have to. Guys, we're streaming on YouTube, obviously. We're streaming on our Facebook page, the 5150 Facebook page, and also our All About the Blues, the British Electric Blues Facebook group too. So if you guys are watching over there, we've got 10,000 members. Do your duty. Support your YouTube show by flicking us with a sub. If you guys were here yesterday, if you're an Australian or anywhere now near Melbourne and you're the 1,000th member to our channel, you could win 4 tickets to go and see a premiere Van Halen tribute act.
Yeah. And that's going to be me, Andrew, because I'm going to unsubscribe and then subscribe as soon as it goes to 1,000. So it'll be me.
I thought of doing that as well. I thought, oh, they're going to unsubscribe, then they'll have to get me from the UK to Melbourne.
But just so you know, guys, you can't do that because you can tell when you've unsubscribed and subscribe again. So can't play silly buggers on Andrew. He's all over it.
He's all about
He's all over it like a fat kid in a cupcake.
Stato, as we like to call him.
So I've got the comments up here on my iPad anyway, so I could at least see what your rat bags are saying in the chat. Having a separate little party there without us, jeepers.
Yeah, they seem to always have a little chat on their own, don't they?
Okay, guys, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to pick this album. And look, there's a couple of things about this album that needs to be discussed. In the past, we've made fun lightly and politely about this album. You know, if you're a regular to the channel, you would have heard me many times make reference to them being this album or this version of Fleetwood Mac being the disco version of Fleetwood Mac. And look, we say that respectfully because, you know, the whole thing with music and bands is that's really important for us, is the legacy, the lineage of the bands, and we don't get into that habit, do we, guys, of trashing versions or eras of bands.
No.
It's like me saying the best version of the Rolling Stones is the one with Mick Taylor. I've done all the maths, and clearly that's the correct answer. Yeah.
So we don't get into that kind.
Well,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. We don't get into that habit here, guys. But we always knew that we were going to talk about this album because it's a landmark album. It's a defining album, and obviously would be very interested to hear what you guys have to think about this album and the tracks. There's a couple of things though that I'd like to talk to you about. I'll get something up on the screen because Michael, also, who's been a guest with us here, he alerted me when we were doing a show about this book here. Hold on, guys. He said, you need to read this book because the information in this book here, it's called Making Rumours, the inside story of the classic Fleetwood Mac album. And I'll give you the author so that you guys can get it, because unfortunately the graphic there's cut it off. But a lot of the information that I'm using in my introduction, and it's not a lot, it's just a little bit, because the book itself is just so detailed with everything that rock historians and rock lovers love. You know, there is a wealth of information about the amps that they're using, the specific mics, how the mics were placed, the number of mics that they used, where the mics were used, the size of the snares and the toms that Mick Fleetwood was using, the tambourine size, the organs and the harpsichords, and everything that Christine was using, the detail that this guy has. And there's a couple of articles you can get download too. There's another classic article online called Classic Tracks. It's from a recording magazine. It came out in 2012, which is based on a lot of the information from that book. It's fantastic. And the reason why I'm really excited about it is because a lot of these shows that I do for the Rock Professor and Brad, we love to talk about gear. You know, the music is one thing, guitars are another, but knowing the gear, you know, wouldn't it be great if we knew exactly what Deep Purple were using when they were recording Fireball? Wouldn't it be fantastic, Brad, if you had that information?
Oh, I'd be jumping through hoops. I'd be so happy.
Yeah. So while, you know, Fleetwood Mac in this album is a landmark album, and it deserves to be discussed, the information that's provided by the engineer who was there when they recorded this album needs to be celebrated too. So that's one of the reasons why. So I want to give a special thanks and shout out to Michael for alerting me specifically to this book. I don't know whether you guys are familiar with it, but certainly we're going to come back after my co-hosts have had a look at it and do another show in a few more months' time.
Who's the guy, Andrew? What's the name of the guy?
Okay, so if you just give me, it's Ken. Now, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Ken, because I know you probably are watching this. Ken Callet, Caillat. He was one of the engineers with Richard Duchat on there as well. So the guy certainly knows his stuff. So obviously, guys, classic album, classic rock and roll album, pop album. I come across that term quite a lot when I was doing a bit of research, Brad. Pop, you know, so it's one of these key things that we like to talk about, isn't it? You know, back in the 60s, 70s, what was pop music isn't pop music today, you know. So back in the 70s, mid 70s, Simon, when this album was dropped, you know, it was considered pop rock. But we call it classic rock. To me, it's just rock and roll. It's all rock and roll. I'm just lazy. I'm a sloppy thinker. I don't like labels.
Back then, it was just, I think it's like West Coast rock, you know, AOL West Coast, because it was clearly made in the West Coast.
Yeah. So you know, one of the great things about this album is, you know, we all know the backstory, and we're not going to dwell a little bit on the backstory because everybody knows, you know, the turmoil and the conflict that was going on behind the scenes that contributed clearly to the album. Because if you look at any of the interviews or any of the reference materials, all the members of Fleetwood Mac acknowledge that. They say if they did not have that behind the scenes, this album wouldn't be what it is. So it's because of that. And Brad's spoken about this before on other shows too, you know, the dynamic of what's happening in bands and how that can drive a band forward and how it can, you know, also destroy a band. But in this case, you know, they managed to take it, bottle it, and produce something that was pretty good. So yeah, from that point of view, I think it's fantastic. There's one thing though, guys, that I have to share with you. We have to get it out. We have to get it right on the table before we contribute any conversation on this album. There were drugs taken while they were recording this album. It's not like the Layla album. Yes. It's not like the Layla album where there was mystique behind. You know, the sloppy rock and roll journalists said that they were taking heroin and smoking pot in the studio and drinking in the studio. We know that was bullshit. Never happened. Bobby has come out and said it never happened. They did it afterwards, but clearly when they were recording this album, they were drinking and they were taking cocaine. So that kind of blew me away. And I only knew that, Simon, about a week ago when I was doing a little bit of research for it, because I kind of thought that it was a urban myth kind of thing too. That why would musicians actually do this in the studio? You know.
Welcome to LA in 1977. I think, you know.
Yeah.
Cocaine capital, and I think that, you know, that it's the sort of, you know, rock star drug of choice, and you know, they're all in that lifestyle, and prevalent. And there are some amazing stories about Fleetwood Mac's drug taking that we can't go into here, but some funny stuff. You know, Stevie Nicks used to have a tent on the side of the stage.
Yeah. And John
Anyway.
McVie, screwdrivers, you know, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
you know, reading this book, you know, how the engineer learnt to read these guys to see what kind of level they were at, you know, as far as what kind of performance they could offer.
Pull out,
you know, amateur psychology, you know. But again, Brad, you know, it's one of these things. 45 years ago, this album was dropped in February 1977, 2022. So this album's 45 years old, guys. And you know, when I first discovered it in the mid 1980s, it was considered an old album back then. So I've done a little bit of talking. I'm going to ask my co-hosts before I talk about my experiences with this album. I'm going to ask Brad and then the Rock Professor to just give us a bit of an intro on their experiences with this album.
Yeah, well, I mean, this album in particular, Fleetwood Mac, also was a Peter Green Fleetwood Mac guy, but this album in particular, it takes me back to, you know, when I first got my driver's license, driving along coastal roads next to the ocean, you know, and listening to this album. It's one of those albums that are just so cruisy. It's got a lot of vibe to it that you can really hear, especially listening to it. And I thanked Andrew earlier today for picking this one, because I haven't listened to this album for a very long time. It's not because I dislike it. I've always liked it. It's just, you know, you sometimes go away from an album and you sort of don't really pick it up for a while. And all these memories started rushing back, you know, from listening to this album. You know, obviously I just gravitated to this record from the Peter Green era of Fleetwood Mac. I just investigated it more than anything. And I always thought they were wonderfully written songs, wonderfully, like, the arrangements are amazing. I'm a song guy, so as soon as there's nice melodies and really catchy hooks and whatnot, I jump on it. And for me, immediately it resonated with me, this album. And you know, coming back to it the way that I have, with numerous years of not listening to it, it's been like a breath of fresh air. And I can't wait to get back into this era of Fleetwood Mac as well, because there is quite a bit of musicality in the band. And, you know, you're listening to, in my opinion, some of the greatest melodies and harmonies ever recorded from musicians, especially in this era. And, you know, there's a lot of feeling and emotion in the songs, which I love that. I love hearing and feeling what the musician's going through. They're not just wishy-washy songs that are commercially written songs. They were really well thought out songs and lyrically brilliant. So each member of this band, without a doubt, were equally, in my opinion, as important as each other in this lineup. So, but for me, you know, it just took me back to, you know, driving along in my car with my surfboard in the back of the car or on the roof, whichever way I had it, and listening to the record. And, you know, it's you know, it takes me back a long time. So it's been a really good little experience going back to this record, Andrew and Simon.
Awesome. I appreciate that, bro. Rock Professor,
Well,
give us,
here
you know,
is my copy from 1977.
hold on.
I've
See if I can.
have it ever since it came out. I think, it's one of those albums, because it had such a classic melodic album, very much in that West Coast kind of laid back West Coast thing that, I mean, clearly 77 is one of the watershed years of rock music. And this is on one side of it, particularly, I think. And I'll just show the inside cover because it's pretty cool inside cover. You probably won't pick it up a huge amount, but there's a whole collage of photographs and stuff and things on there, which you can see some of. There we are. Lots of mucking about going on, and on the inside, clearly the lyrics. It's fantastic. Double. Clearly somebody. So nice package, good package. Nice, yeah. Plenty to look at. So that's really nice. But I mean, yeah, as I say, a kind of watershed year in music, 1977. So I'm listening to that, and I'm also listening to this. If anyone doesn't know this is one of the great new wave records ever. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure you do. Marquee Moon. That's a fantastic record. I've been listening to that as well. This kind of sort of bookended the different things going on in 77, I think, in many ways. Sorry, Brad, you see that at Marquee Moon? Do you know it? Marquee Moon Television? Fantastic record.
Wonderful.
That's a great record. So yeah, you got sort of the two sort of juxtapositions of the different types, and I think that the other thing I'd say is that clearly with the punk thing going on, particularly in the UK, more new wave in America stuff, New York is, but there's a sort of this the first I would call a great divergence of so that the UK goes off on its own journey with music into the 80s, and America goes on a different journey, and I think that's that's epitomized by all the kind of glam rock bands of the early 80s, like Quiet Riot and Van Halen particularly, that were really big in America that weren't really big in the UK. Really, it's that great divergence is happening. So, but the sound of 77, as much as anything else, was the sound of 77 with those fantastic, the classic melodies. As you said, Brad, it's fantastic. The first thing that strikes me about it, playing it on my stereo, is how well produced it is. How brilliant the arrangements are. There's no kind of flash, is there? That's the one thing in common I'd say with the sort of punk thing. There's no long solos. There's no kind of Lindsey Buckingham wigging out. It's all very tightly focused and very much, as you said, on the songs. And that comes through, I think. And they wanted to make an album that would have 11 killer tracks. Well, I think they pretty much succeeded in that. So yeah,
100%. It's a song. It's a song album. It's definitely a song album.
Oh, guaranteed. Guaranteed when you consider how many songs are released as singles. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you guys. I think it's a great album. There was a slight amount of pressure on the band. They just released their first album, the White Album, that they call it, with Buckingham and Nix, and that went to #1 too. So there was a bit of pressure on the band to come up with something a little bit good. And being musicians themselves, they're pretty competitive, and certainly it played out a little bit in this in this recording as well. That creative conflict that they love to talk about. Brad, creative conflict, brother.
Yeah.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? That conflict and difficulties create great art. They are, discuss. We talk about a lot on here. That mixing up of the turmoil in people's personal lives. It kind of overspills into records they've made and stuff like that. And this is as you say, a really good case for the tensions within the band.
I love how that
how it develops into a fantastic record with great songs.
I love how the songs are written about particular members of the band and stuff like that in some context, and those people are contributing to the song and singing BVs and playing instruments on it. It's quite humorous to me that whether they were aware.
But it can't just be, it can't just be, a finger pointing song about that particular person. It's got to have a much more universal feel, a universal meaning to it that people can buy into, And I think, that it's, where that line is really difficult. I mean, I think, that whatever, clearly they came out of their personal circumstances and they were all splitting up and things. But the key thing is they turned them into universal songs that everybody, it doesn't sell, millions and millions of records without people being able to buy into it and, feel like the songs are about them to some extent. So I think that universality is really important if you're doing
that's
that.
awesome. Yeah, I agree with you, Simon. And one thing I think before we actually dive into some of the tracks, guys, one thing we've got to remember is that the studio, the record plant at Sausalito, had state-of-the-art technology. And the book that I made reference to goes in and outlines everything that they had, which is really, really important because Brad and Simon both mentioned in their little introductions the sound of this album. There was this organic sound, and obviously when we go through and talk about some of the tracks and some of the instruments that are just there, it's part of that technology, Simon, that they had, this analog technology in the mid-1970s, the 24 tracks. But more than that, though, they needed the whiz, the ace, and the and that guy, Ken, the young guy, the engineer, he was the ace. He was the wizard. He was the guy able to, to bring all these strings together. So, Brad's recording is Brad's ace because Brad's pulling all the strings in, isn't he? So Brad's got a bit of an idea of what it's like to be Ken Collett, recording this awesome,
I think of
this
Brad
awesome
more like
musician.
Phil Spector. Don't you? I think of Brad more like Phil Spector with a gun on the mixing desk and ordering everybody to do as they're told.
Oh, bit of fun. Give the new boy a bit of fun.
Give the still the new boy, like Ronnie Wood, mate. Ronnie Wood.
Still the new boy.
I think it's before we get too far, guys, maybe I should do a bit of a roll call. We've got a fair few people in the chat.
Oh, yeah, brother. Yeah.
Cool. Definitely want to sort of acknowledge everyone because we haven't got the chat.
The gang's all here.
So I'm just going to go through, guys, and have a look. Just give me 2 seconds. We've got John ZD351, our brother John. Thank you for joining us. He's always on board first. He's last to leave. He's on board with all the artwork and stuff. He's just amazing. Thank you, John. We've got Derek Clacton. Thanks for joining us. We really know that you're Eric Clapton. You're just disguised as Derek Clacton. Okay.
Derek is Eric.
So we've got some rat bag called Simon Williams, Mark Tanner. We've got Teresa. We've got Ellen, my mother. And we've got Hugh Caldwell. Thanks, Hugh, for joining us. We have another rat bag called 5150 Show. I think we need to time him out possibly. We've got Nelson in the chat. We've also got Helene O'Hara. So thank you for joining us. I'm just going through I had it all teed up and it's just jumped back to the start, guys. Sorry. Arvin, I think I've said Arvin. We've got Jazz Thunder 50. Thank you for joining us. We've got a few people here. This is great. And everyone's having little chats there, which is good. And we're going to get into this, guys. So thank you for joining us. If I've missed your name, I apologize. We're sort of struggling a little bit with the chat today. So we'll get through this the best we can. But as Andrew alluded to, we're not highlighting any comments up at the moment because we've got issues with the StreamYard. So thanks for bearing with us, guys. But, it's great to have you on board. And Yeah. Simon, have you got someone you want to do a bit of a shout out to before we dive in?
Yeah. We should shout out to Warren, of course. Our
Yep.
mate Warren. Hope you're all right, Warren. Good to see you commenting on I don't know if it was last week or the week before, commenting on our things. That was cool. So still out there. So we look forward to you being in the chat soon. Take care of yourself. Get well soon.
Yeah, take care, Warren.
Thank you, Warren, for the contribution too that you sent through for the channel. Appreciate that, Warren. Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you back in the chat. And the beer dispensers and the Eric Clapton Strat awaiting your return.
Awesome. So I'm just looking at my iPad thing here, scroll up, and I caught Ellen's comment about the Brad Cook T-shirt looking pretty good on me. So thank you, Ellen. I think it looks spectacular too. Very
Simon,
if only they deliver to the UK, that would be useful.
Well, Simon, there's a package on the way, and it should have probably been there well and truly by now, but I don't know what's happening. So
it takes weeks. It takes weeks to get. Thank you. That's so very kind. Sorry. I as I say, I quite like to buy one because you get a bit of cash out of it. Support your local musician. Well, not local, but it's
well, local for the show.
Support your friends. I'm all for supporting your friends. Like that by buying their stuff, not to, So it's really. I'm looking forward to getting it, but yeah, you need to sort them out so deliver to the UK or whatever. So it's weird that I don't understand that, but
and I appreciate your contribution to Simon to helping run the show too as well. So thank you very much, brother.
No worries.
Guys, there's a couple of things that I just want to talk about before we jump into the track. So and I think it's something that we have to bear in mind before we go through and talk about these songs. Nobody in Fleetwood Mac could read or write music. So bear that in mind when we talk about these songs. No one in the band could read or write music. Important thing. There's a couple of songs, especially when I talk about them, that are going to highlight that point even more beyond any belief. Trust me. Stay tuned. Okay. Kick off. So I'm starting. Brad's going to jump in second, followed by the Rock Professor. As usual, guys, put your rankings in the chat. We'll look at them at some stage. And if you disagree with anything we say, we're not experts, we're just fans. If anyone needs to be timed out,
anyone
let
who
me know.
disagrees with us will be timed.
Rock Professor. Okay, so So Ken in his book talks about how they got to the recording studio, and they spent 5 whole days setting up the mics, trying to get the sound through on the drums. And everybody, obviously, that knows anything about classic rock and roll understands the importance of drums in rock and roll music and how they have to mic this. And the band's sitting around for 5 days watching these guys, these 2 young hotshots, and they're starting by the 5th day or the 4th day to question, oh my gosh, who the heck have we employed here? Some idiots or something, that we've got issues. We've got some kind of problem going on here. But that's also in reflection to one other little thing about that studio. Some studios are what they call dynamic studios, and some studios are dead studios. And the one in the recording plant in Sausalito was a dead studio. And the best way that I think that I can explain that to you guys, if you don't understand it, it's like going into your closet talking and then going into your lounge talking. The voice of your lounge is going to be more dynamic. You can hear it, on a higher and the lower registers, but in your wardrobe, you can't. And that's the sound that was in the recording studio at the record plant at the time. It was a dead studio. So they had to work that out. And also they had state-of-the-art equipment that they were trying to work out. But Brad, you'll be happy to know the one thing that actually got the sound going is when the musicians got in together and actually started playing. When the bass and the drums were playing together, they realized, Rock Professor, they realized that was the ingredient. You can't mic the bloody drums without the rest of the band. This is not that band. This is a band that you have to have the musicians together to create at least the rough tracks. And so they managed to do that. So whether or not you guys knew that, but before we move on, do you guys want to offer some kind of opinion or comment on that, please?
I just wanted, before we go too far, say Warren's actually in the chat. So great to see you here, brother.
Look, he is.
Yeah.
Warren.
So
Hey,
yeah,
you're back.
great to see you here, man.
Good to
And
see you,
we
man.
did say hello,
Fantastic.
and we're looking forward to
Yes.
catching you in the chat. So yeah,
That's
we're
brilliant.
having issues with our StreamYard, so I'm having to view all the chats in YouTube as we're doing this. So I just thought I would say that before we do any deep diving, mate. Great to see you.
Yeah.
So I agree, Andrew, to like, especially a band like Fleetwood Mac, they obviously needed to play as a group to get the drum sound recorded. And it is a fantastic drum sound on this record. It's very, very fitting to the music. It's not like they were trying to get the big ambient hallway drumming like John Bonham in When the Levee Breaks. They wanted that tight sound. But to capture the size of the drums and to actually get the resonance in there as well, it's quite a task to do. If anyone's used to recording in the chat or has watched any documentaries on musicians recording, drum sounds can make or break a record.
Correct.
They honestly make or break a record. So if your drum sounds are crap, unfortunately, you're never going to polish up the recording. The old saying in the studio, you can't polish a turd. And so that's pretty much where we're coming from. Is they obviously captured the sound of the band in the room together, and that's what worked. And that's all I have to say about it, Andrew. I think it was just one of those, they might have spent a lot of time, as you said, like trying to get a drum sound, but then when the band started playing it, they found it. Because it's like that EQ thing with guitars on stage, for example. They pull all the low end out and the very top end in the mix on the EQ. Yeah. So the graphic, they pull it all out because it's there's no point having that in the mix. Same thing, they found the right frequencies with the drums with the rest of the band, and and we've got the magic recorded here.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting, Simon. Do you want to offer a quick comment before?
No, I don't. Well, I think you've got when you make a record, you either, I guess this is kind of on the cusp of it. You either record what's in the room, and I think records that were made, in the 60s, the early 70s, the record, pretty much, one or two exceptions, but pretty much what you're recording is what they're playing in the room, and you're using the natural reverb of the room. Especially with drums and things like that, which is reverb is the thing. You're using the natural reverb of a room to make the drums sound good and stuff. And clearly, that's why you recorded in rooms. To do that. Or the stairway of Headley Grange. If you're recording When the Levee Breaks and stuff. With a Binson Echo Road, but so that's the sound of the room. Now you're moving now into recording technology where you record something, but actually you want to be able to add it on afterwards, not add it on during the, during when recording. So clearly they've made the room dead so that then you add in the reverb when you after it's been recorded, kind of thing, which is much more what you do now, isn't it, Brad? I mean, you record your guitars clean and then you reamp them, put effects on them, do whatever you want with them. But it's an after the recording process. Whereas, in those days you recorded, and what you recorded was on the tape. And that's what you got. But I agree with you. The first thing that strikes me about this record is how. Two things. One is how brilliantly it is recorded, and how brilliant all the sounds are. But the other thing is, it is clearly recorded before you could watch a screen. Because if my old thing about, now you record and you do an album with your eyes because you can see the tracks on a screen, on whatever you're using, on your Apple or your you know, you could see things and you could see the gaps. Whereas here, they're, you know, clearly they're, you know, it's not over instrumented. It's not even a word. You know, it's not layers and layers of instruments. It's each instrument gets to breathe on its own. And you know, clearly this is somebody, you know, recording with their ears and not with their eyes. I think it's, for me, it's a very good case of that, because I think if you were doing it now, you'd be layering on all sorts of other stuff that probably wouldn't make it a better record by a distance. Would make it not such a good record.
Cool.
Yes,
We've got someone in the chat. Can someone get rid of some Russian dude in the chat, please?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Mark Tanner's deleting. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah. Okay, guys. So, and just bear in mind too, one more little point, please. Please allow me. So, Lindsay Buckingham was mindful of, and I'm not going to use this word hate. When I first came across this idea that he wanted to have a pop album as opposed to a blues progression album, which is firmly the tradition that Fleetwood Mac came from, back in the day, kind of scared me a little bit. But when you listen to this album, you realize, well, as we said at the top of the show, pop music back in the 70s was a little bit different to the pop stuff that we have today. So first song, guys, Secondhand News, acoustic intro. Really interesting song to open up this album when you consider other songs on this album. Kind of, very interesting song, but it kind of works, doesn't it? Because it's painting a picture, you know, of where this band is going. I listened to it on headphones again twice today. Lindsay Buckingham's vocals in the right-hand ear with Stevie Nicks behind on the left-hand side is just magic how they work that together. I love the story about the bam, 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 bam guitar solo, which wasn't a guitar solo, you know, that the band members said, hey, why don't you just do something else other than a guitar solo? And he goes, bam, 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 bam. And I'm going, in my mind, when I first heard this, Brad, I don't know about you, but it freaked me out when I heard this song. I loved the song. And the harmonics of the acoustic guitar that you can pick up that sits behind your ears, it's just fantastic. The solo as the song ends is pretty cool too. Reminds me of Stray Cat Blues, you know, where they've got that solo at the end. You know, it's just again, you know, smart, clever little song. Gives us a good clue. I know, Rock Professor, we talk about some opening tracks not painting a good picture, but this one certainly puts us, I think, into a good frame of mind on where we're going to go with this album. Look, guys, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10, Brad.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to have some similar notes here, guys. So I'm going to try and eliminate doubling up for the flow of the show. But I mean, I love this song. I love that upbeat feel. I'm going to, you know, mirror Andrew here. That those acoustics are recorded so well. I love the acoustic tones on this record, and I love it in this song. There's melody in the first verse, like immediately it hits you, like smacks you in the face. Such an amazing team of songwriters, this band, and there's some really nice touches in the song. I really enjoyed the bass. It's got that muted sort of nice touch to it. Great drumming, nice solo in that outro section as well, like Andrew just alluded to. The harmony parts, the vocal harmonies are outstanding. I tend to think that the second time through of listening to this record, I thought this is a great opening song. First time I was like, maybe they could have opened it with a different track. But I think because I had another listen to it again, and I've listened to it about 5 or 6 times today because I just had the album on repeat, and I kept thinking it's such a great opener. So I gave it a 9 out of 10, this song, and definitely never a skip. Simon.
For sure. Yeah. A couple of things I just researched. You, as the rock professor, you wouldn't expect anything less of me. But originally it was an acoustic demo entitled Strummer, and but after hearing, this is interesting, and you sort of hear it only after I realised. But after hearing the Bee Gees jive talking, Buckingham and Dashut built up the song with 4 audio tracks of electric guitar. That slightly more percussive thing that I hear it now, but I wouldn't have made that association when I first heard it. But yeah, clearly, I mean, I think that it lines up what the album is. I just make one point that I think that Fleetwood bringing in Buckingham and Nicks was a very conscious choice. They were already proper musicians and stuff, and I think Lindsey Buckingham understood how to make pop records, not and that's a different tradition to the one that Fleetwood and McVie and Christy McVie had come from. But actually, they allowed him to get on and make a pop record, didn't they? I mean, clearly Buckingham is all over this in terms of, the arrangements and the compositions and everything, and I think it's really interesting that they allowed him to get on with it, and he produced such a brilliant record. First track, 9 out of 10 for me, never a skip. But I do think that it sort of sets up the album, in tone and in melody and in lyrical content as well. So yeah, definitely 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
Awesome. So obviously the first song, guys, was a Lindsey Buckingham song. So brings us to number 2, the second track, side 1, Stevie Nicks song, Dreams. And gosh, what are we going to say about this song? The bass and drums intro is just a killer. It's just amazing. It's one of those defining moments, I think, in rock and roll. There's a couple of other tracks on this album that are just sublime and gives you chicken skin if you want. You can get chicken skin. You guys know what chicken skin's like? Yeah. Chicken skin. Yeah, goosebumps, chicken skin. You got it, brother. And certainly this song does it for me. It's just the epitome. The rock professor said it earlier too, didn't he, about the SoCal, Southern California mood or movement. And, this is a song that's in my consciousness when I think of that. And was that something that they set out to do? I don't know, but it's just worked. It's something that's in my mind, and I'm not going to make any apologies for it. Interesting how the song was written. It was written apparently in the Sly Stone room, which was set up in the recording plant where Stevie would go off because she wasn't required as a playing musician, and wrote the song. Apparently, from the research that I've done, the band weren't too hooked on it. But Lindsey, again, and the rock professor mentioned this before, Lindsey, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more on some other songs, took the song and polished it. And Stevie gives him credit for that. There's a lot of footage on YouTube, guys, where Lindsey and Stevie are talking about their experiences on this album, some conflicting, but I think she's honest and upright when she says, that Lindsey took the song and polished it. Brad, I'm going to give this song only look, we know the lyrics, and I'm not going to talk about the lyrics. For me, it's the bass and drums, the intro. I just love it. I love the groove. 9 out of 10, brother.
Wow. Yeah, this is when I think of fantastic dreamy vibes, I picture this song as like swirly, dreamy vibes. Like it's from the very start of the song, there's like a dreamy element to the song. And Stevie Nicks sings incredibly well in this, incredibly beautifully in this. It's the harmonies in the choruses are sensational. You can't help but want to sing along to this one. It's a really well written song. The arrangement's fantastic. The keyboards, and the electric guitars, there's so much ambient sound going on. It's almost a lot to consume all in one listen. You've got to listen to it again. The congas, they're quietly in there in the mix. If you have a listen, there's congas there. sets a different mood to the song. Now that I've really paid attention to the congas in the song, I couldn't imagine the song without them. They're just perfect. This song's always been on FM radio here in Australia as far back as I can remember, like, being a wee tacker and hearing this song on the radio all the time. It's still on the radio all the time. Whenever I turn on one of the FM stations here in Melbourne, guaranteed this song gets played within a half hour or an hour period. It's always on. I love the song. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. And, Stevie Nicks, wow, just her voice on this is very, let's say, it draws you in. It sucks you in. You can't not be in. It's infectious.
Yeah. Good score, brother. Good score. First 10. Unfortunately, unlike the block, we don't have $5,000 to give to you. So,
Simon.
Rock Professor.
Yeah, I think that. Yes, I mean, I agree with you, Brad. Once you've listed that, the details of the production are really interesting. I mean, and things like, I noticed some slight that this particular mix has lots of space for the instruments to breathe. That they have their own space. They're not. It's not. You don't feel like they're cramming it into a small space. There's a big space, and they're laying it out. And so that each bit contributes to the overall, but it's got its own space, and the splashes of color and stuff, give it, a bit like, it's almost like painting, really, of just putting in these little bits that. John, nice one. It's I think that's. That you're right, Andrew, that the bass and the drums are really interesting on this record, aren't they? Really simple. A lot of it is really simple, isn't it? Do, 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 do. Just two notes, just single note. A lot of, McVie just, how often
just
I
an
know
F and a G. An F and a G.
But he doesn't go, does he? He does. He'll do a little run, but main is and you go. It fits it so well. It's the simplest thing, and yet that holding down that groove, with Fleetwood is just amazing, really. And the understatement of as I said earlier, there's not a lot of flash on here, is there? There's not a lot of people, really showing, wizardry. It's all in the mixes. It's all organized. It's all produced. It's all arranged so that it fits a cohesive whole. And it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. I think it's a fantastic song, and as you say, it's become a staple of FM radio, album radio across everywhere. And if you pick it out, that's the one you do, don't you? It's a beautiful thing, and beautifully constructed. And I'm giving Lindsay Buckingham and the engineers all the credit here for being able to do it.
Awesome.
And Fleetwood and McVie for understanding what they Buckingham particularly was going to bring and allowing him to do it. That's really cool.
It's usually the mark of an amazing musician when they play what's needed for the song, not necessarily trying to stand out.
Did you rank it, Simon?
I did. I gave it a 10.
Oh,
10 out of
okay.
10.
Sorry.
Never a skip.
Never a skip. When we've flicked over side one, guys, I'll bring up some photos and we'll just go through some of the photos that I've got. Especially, I think, they'll be very. We have to have a conversation about some of the gear that they used because we're gearheads here too. So
let's do it at half time.
We'll do it at half time. We'll flick
oranges.
it through. We were going to do it at the intro, but jeepers, as usual, the intros just drag on and on and on and on. Never Going Back Again. Lindsay Buckingham's song at that 50-second mark. My gosh, there's just the lyric, the vocals. Just there's something. Go to the 50-second mark and check it out. Am I correct that this is just Lindsay Buckingham only playing on this? Boy, what a cracker of an acoustic song. It was just something that was completely different to what we were listening to, my friends and I, in the mid 1980s. Kind of blew us away, Brad, because we were familiar with the radio songs, Dreams. We knew Dreams. The Rock Professor said it. It was on the radio. But this Never Going Back Again. What? Why isn't this song on the radio? I look, I love it. It's a skillful song. Lindsey Buckingham, you can almost imagine him just sinking back. I had the pleasure of watching Brad play on Instagram a couple of days ago, and I caught moments there where Brad was just closing his eyes and falling back. I caught you, brother. Caught you.
Channeling his inner Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah. So, and it's that kind of thing that we get when we hear music. I'm sure Lindsey was doing that. Guys, I wanted to give this a 10 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm happy with that. But boy, Rock Professor, it's never a skip. Brad.
Well, there's some really beautiful acoustic playing on this song. Lindsey's singing is very spooky to me, and in this song in particular, there's quite well, for a lack of better ways of putting it, it's eerie at times the way he sings, and it's a really heartfelt delivery on this. There's some nice harmonies on it. I'm guessing it's him doing the harmonies. Is that correct? Yeah. So it's a wonderful melody. Look, I gave the song an 8 out of 10 without touching on too much of what you already did there, Andrew. But it's a beautiful song. The way it's executed just with the acoustic guitar, the tones of the acoustic guitar are fantastic too. I've got to give them credit for that. Acoustics are so hard to record, to get them to sound like that. Like I'm when I'm listening to it, I'm hearing the timbre in the body of the guitar. It's beautiful.
You can. Absolutely. You can. There's a knock just after where he goes. Yeah.
That now that you brought that up, that was one of the things that alluded me to the sound of the acoustic. It's there. It's 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
Awesome. Rock Professor.
We got. He's on mute. You're on mute, Simon.
I'm on mute. It is one of those really simple songs. That guitar thing, that guitar figure he plays, is just so iconic now, isn't it? That you can't hear more than half a second, and you know what it is, and and as you say, just him. And I think that's one of the great things, isn't it? There's 2 or 3 tracks on here which are just individuals, just playing.
Correct.
And I think from we've had 2 full band songs, second Asia. Now we've got just Lindsey Buckingham on his own, very simple, fantastically well recorded. I think that one of the things I saw was that apparently the 2 guitar tracks that he did over and over again, and in the end his vocals didn't match the guitar tracks, so we had to slow them down a bit. Things you could do with tape, just to resync them. But 9 out of 10 for me, and I think that contrast and the way that he does it, and I've seen him do it live as well, and it's just with he gets Stevie Nicks to sing with him as well. It's just magical, really. They've turned it into this kind of iconic thing where they both sing, but him on his own, magical song. 9 out of 10, never a skip. Fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you, Rock Professor.
And could I say before we go on, only 2 minutes 14.
Yeah.
So not outstaying its welcome, not a 4 minute, kind of just I've got this one idea, this one beautiful thing. 2 minutes out. Brilliant.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Get the job done. There's some awesome comments. I can read the comments in StreamYards now. So StreamYards is working. Thank you, guys. Helen is saying, yum, Southern style. Is she talking about the music, or is she talking about chicken still? Get back to work. So. Okay. All right. Don't stop. Gosh, guys, I hate to say this. Please just don't shoot me when I say this. I love this song. I still do. I adore the song. It's a radio song, Brad. They play it every day on classic rock. I love the song. The solo is fantastic. You know, the bass and drums. You've got, you know, Christine McVie is singing, and boy, she's so good. But when Bill Clinton stole it, you know, these politicians, lay off our fucking rock and roll, will you? Stop. Just don't keep away from our rock and roll.
Potty mouth's back. The potty mouth's back.
Oh God, he's on. Look out! We've been at 106 swearing, bad language.
I had to say that. It took me a long time to purge myself when he played this at his, you know, because I'm old and I remember that. I remember the 1990s. Rock Professor.
Listen to the 1990s. They're about 20 minutes ago. What are you talking about? Nothing happened in the 1990s.
I'm still going to give it. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Again, Brad, that bass and drums, the simple patterns that the Rock Professor mentioned earlier. They're not doing anything extra special. You know, they're just locked in there. As Helene said, doing Southern style, well, Southern Californian style. You know, love it.
Man.
10 out of 10, Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we're the keyboard intro and the drum build up. That's great. You know, that's fantastic. Yeah. Classy guitar work. Vocals are fantastic. The melody and the chorus. There's some wonderful piano playing. You know, again, the guitar work in this is fantastic. Bass and drums are just locked in. I love the little lead breaks. Tasty playing from Lindsay. And look, I've given this song a 9.5 out of 10. There's never a skip. Whenever it comes on the radio, I just crank it. I can't say I relate it to politicians, but now that you've mentioned it,
you're too young.
No, I was, you know, I was a kid when I was around. But there's you know, there's a couple of songs that Fleetwood Mac have sold off to ads and things like that here in Australia. So, you know, I tried to, like, the next song is on a television ad here in Australia, and I try to eliminate that out of my head. It ruins it. But Fleetwood Mac, if they want to make money out of selling it to TV ads, well, good on them, I reckon, because there's not many ways to make money out of music anymore. So,
yeah. Good on you, brother. Yep. Yeah. We're all for capitalism and free enterprise.
Yeah.
We're not communists.
I have to say this, and I'll hand it over to the Rock Professor. Well done on the potty mouth, Andrew.
Politicians,
you just had to get it out, mate. It's
politicians
like
stealing our music.
We all know the feeling what it's like, Andrew.
Ronald Reagan stealing "Born in the USA." Clearly, never heard it. Well done, you know.
Yeah, and Trump stealing Rolling Stones. You know.
Yeah. Well, yes, you see,
cease and desist.
Yes. I think in the great scheme of things, there's a lot worse politicians usurping rock songs for their own purposes, like not paying attention. But anyway, don't stop. Yes, yet another. I mean, the thing we say about this record is, I mean, I don't know whether I can't remember whether all these songs were singles, but I feel like they were all singles. You know, one after the other, just, you know, cranking them out. And an album that, you know, can produce that many singles, and, you know, it gets a hit, as you say. You know, I like the fact that John McVie didn't realise for years that it was about him. Until somebody told him. Really? Oh, right. Nice bass player world. Different world to the rest of us. But as you say, again, that kind of drum and bass locking in, just simple root notes on the bass. There's no kind of flash playing about it. And it, you know, and it's all in the service of the song. I agree with you. The guitar solo is fantastic, melodic and soaring guitar solo. You know, that's what Lindsey Buckingham does. But, you know, 3 minutes 13, no messing about. you know. And so a 10 out of 10 from me and Never Escape. That's a fantastic song, you know.
Awesome. I just want to get rid of that banner. Oh, we got Luca in the chat. Hey, brother, how's it going in South Africa?
Luca.
Hold on.
Yeah. Sorry, can highlight comments in the chat.
Yeah, check this guy out on Instagram. Catch him locking into the moment when he's plugging that Strat in, winding it up. Oh my gosh!
Back
to eyes closed.
All right.
I'm going to give you guys a fun fact, and this is all down to Wikipedia for this one. 10 million copies sold in USA first month this album was dropped.
10 million copies in the first month. That's running them out, isn't it? That really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I could talk for hours about this song, but I won't. I'm going to just talk about a couple of things with my co-hosts and you guys in the chat too. Go your own way. Really, really interesting. You know, Simon mentioned the Bee Gees and on one of the other tracks, I can't remember it, the first track. And again, if you want to know more information about that, go and buy the book that we made reference to. I'll put the link of that book on this video if you want to go and check it out, because they elaborate how they wanted to do that, the Bee Gees vibe with that opening track. And again, with this track here, Street Fighting Man was the main emphasis behind this song that I did not know, that I did not pick up on until I read it. And it was really important. Lindsay wanted this perspective, this pattern on the song, and the way that they went through in the process to try and get this, the frustration that was being meshed and melted out by Mick. You can almost, Brad, when you're reading this book, this guy has got a great ability to just put us there, just does a fantastic job. So my opinion of this song just grew, just reading a bit about the backstory. I just love it, guys. I just think it's fascinating. Love doing these shows with you guys. That chorus bass line by John McVie, he heard the song once when they were playing it in the studio. John McVie already had it worked out, goes in there and does that wonderful bass thing that's going on in the chorus. And check out the making of Rumours, Fleetwood Mac classic album. There's one piece there where they're listening to it and John is playing and Mick Fleetwood is going, listen to that. And he's describing John as a monster. He said he's got this orchestra going. So when he was playing root notes on previous songs, he's doing a couple of scales. Yeah. But I will put up some pictures and tell you why it's so great and so fluid, because he's using a fretless bass. So if anyone's ever played a fretless bass, it just sounds so much different to a standard bass. So he's playing a fretless bass and he's just providing Brad this background that I just love. That was the first thing I heard when I heard the song when I was a young boy, and I still hear that bass track. I love it. That's all I'm going to say, because I have to talk. I have to give you guys something. I'll say one thing. I'll say one thing, though. Stevie knew the song was about her and packing up, shacking up. So all you wanted to. Yeah, she wanted that. She wanted that out, but he said no. And if you've ever been brokenhearted and had your heart broken, this is a great song to get your heart broken more to. Again. It's a great song for broken hearts too.
Can I say the singing was uncannily? I don't know, it was uncannily.
I love this song. I always have. I took my acoustic away and I had it capoed on the 3rd fret, and I was playing the D and the A and the G chords so that it sounds like the recording in F. It's just brilliant. I love the song, Brad. I love it. It's a Brad score. It's the first Brad score. It's 100 out of 10.
We'll never get on the gear channels with your talk of capos, you know. Oh dear.
Yeah, look, wow, Andrew, you've touched on a lot of stuff I was going to talk about, so I won't bore everyone. But this one thing about this song, I love how it's got that little cool intro, and the song almost comes in immediately with the vocals. It's the way they wrote the songs were like impact, like hit the mark all the way through the song. They didn't stretch anything out too much. They kept it in alignment with what you would call a hit song does. It's meant to come in within the 30 seconds. You're in with the vocals, and really they're just so good at doing this. And it's not just this song; it's a lot of the songs on this album. They're just fantastic. Great drumming. For me, it's reminiscent of Ringo Starr, this drum beat. I keep thinking of Ticket to Ride or something like that, the drumming in it. That's what I'm hearing, like something like Ringo would do. He's not just playing a straight beat. He's actually playing as if it's part of the song, which is amazing. Obviously, the choruses he's playing straight, but there's like that real percussive feel. I heard Ringo Starr all the way through that, just straight off the bat. I'm not sure if he was a big influence or not, but the vocal melodies are fantastic. The chorus is so catchy. I mean, come on, guys. You couldn't write a better chorus if you tried. There's some great melodic guitar playing. The lead guitar playing is all class. It's not trying to overplay. It's not trying to do anything amazing. It's just playing for the song. Again, I'll say this. That's the mark of an amazing musician, someone that can play for the song and not worry about what people think of what they're doing on guitar or anything like that, not trying to play to impress anyone. Look, the vocal harmonies are world-class. To me, this is one of those songs you've got to listen to. If you want to put vocal harmonies down, it's one of the songs you've got to listen to as an idea to get sort of where they sort of captured how they did it is just sensational. Look, this song reminds me of good times of being a young man becoming for me. There's something about this song. I remember driving along, in New South Wales, Thurrool. I was driving through Thurrool and listening to this song, and I specifically remember looking out the ocean, listening to this song, and you can go your own way. I'm thinking this is perfect.
Yeah.
So. 100 out of 100, 100 out of 10. It's a Brad score.
It's a Brad score.
All right, Brad.
I hope I've left you something to go on with there, Simon.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I'd like to reiterate that thing about. I made a note of it myself. The guitar solos. Simple but so effective. Melodic. Effective, it's like real class. To be able to do that, be able to. Figure it out for yourself. The one thing I picked out, I read that Mick Fleetwood said about the drum pattern was it was a tom-tom structure that Lindsay demoed by hitting Kleenex boxes or something, which Fleetwood said he never quite got to grips with what he wanted. So the end result was my mutated interpretation. And it became a major part of the song, a completely back-to-front approach that came, I'm ashamed to say, from capitalising on my own ineptness. His own inability to play exactly what Lindsey Buckingham wanted, which is lovely. I think following on from that, the contrast between that offbeat drumming in the verse and the straight 4/4 in the chorus, I think is, that's really cool. That sort of sets the two things apart. That's really good. And as you said, Andrew, that melodic, busy bass playing that McVie suddenly turns up playing, having done very simple stuff. And when it's a 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. It's an absolute classic. This is, I put this on yesterday. I was playing it on my record player yesterday, quite loud. It just sounds so good. And every song, you can sing along to every song, and it's just, brilliant.
Awesome. We've got Quentin James in the chat. Hey, Quentin and Teresa. Has Teresa been here at the start?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Teresa. Hope you're good.
Okay. I just want to offer one little comment before we get on to the next song. And again, I'm not going to spoil it, because if you guys go and get the book, but it's an interesting little example of Lindsey Buckingham. So as I said to you guys in the introduction, they couldn't read or write music. So he writes these songs or whatever, and he goes in and he explains, quote, to the rest of the band. This song is a verse, chorus. If you get lost, just stop and ask. So that's what he's saying while he's explaining this to the rest of the band members. It's a verse, chorus. If you get lost, stop and ask. And then while they're busy doing something, Ken and Richard, Lindsey just flies off the handle, just goes crazy, and asks Ken to do something. And apparently there's veins popping out of Lindsey's neck. And anyway, the young guy who's never seen this behavior, is freaking out a little bit. But Richard, who's been with them a little bit before, knows, and just sits there and he says, oh, that's basically just Lindsey, And the rest of the band just, let it go and carry on. But there's a wonderful little 2-paragraph discussion that the author gives about focused musicians and professional musicians and why they might do these things. So like I'm saying to you guys, if we read this and come back and talk about some of the nuggets in this book on another episode, I'd love to do it with you guys, because I'd love to hear your opinion on what Ken is saying about the intensity of musicians, because it freaked me out. Yeah. Anyway, go and get the book. Guys, Songbird, Christine, we all know. We've done some research on this song. It's a nice backstory, isn't it? She played it. Oh, okay. This is okay. I'm just reading my notes here. So the backstory on this song is that she wrote this song just after midnight, and she stayed up all night until the morning, because there was no one there in the studio, because she was scared that she would forget the chord structure and the melody. So she stayed up all night until somebody came into the studio so that they could write the song, and that blew me away. If you guys knew that, well, okay, but I didn't. In the course of research for this program, that blew me away. Isn't it great, guys? Recorded at an auditorium, second choice auditorium. She's pitch perfect. They had 19 mics apparently spread around the auditorium to capture this song. I was going to Brad score it, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It's a beautiful song. It's perfect. It's a perfect song. When I was a young boy, there was something about the song that, and I wasn't listening to a lot of quiet ballads or, back then with a lot of intensity, but this one grabbed me, and it still does, Brad. 10 out of 10.
Oh, look, it's a beautiful song. Really highlights Christine McVie. There's some lovely piano playing and vocals. I have to comment on how great the piano sounds as well, and obviously them recording it the way they did. They really captured the depth of the piano. It's so anyway, it's fantastic. Great way to end side one as well. It's a beautiful song, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Never a skip.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's a beautiful way to end the first side, isn't it? Again, it's a contrast from the previous couple of tracks, which been a bit more full on. It's just a very contemplative song, reflective song, and as you say, that kind of waking up in the middle of the night and just she said I had it all, words, melody, chords in about 30 minutes. It was a gift from the angels, and so I wrote down the words and went and recorded it the next day, as you say, on a 9-foot Steinway piano. Didn't realise you could buy Steinways in feet, but for me, it's a beautiful song, beautifully recorded and beautifully performed, and a 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. I think it's a beautiful contrast and a beautiful way to end the first side. It's the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I agree. I agree with you, Simon. We'll flick through some photos, guys. So this is the desk at the recording plant, and what's really interesting about this desk here is that oh gosh, all these
Look at
names in
that.
my head. Ken and Richard, they could never drink and work the desk, but they would often participate in smoking pot, and they could still work the desk. And when Mick Fleetwood, he was the purveyor and the supplier of the Peruvian marching powder, so he would come in and give them a couple of bumps, and they would tick along quite well, all while they, conscious and still working this awesome desk, guys.
Wow.
There they are there. That's Ken, and that's Richard. That's them in the studio. There's Ken there. There's Richard there, and there's Lindsay with the awesome. And we're going to get some pictures there of what it do. What it do. What it do.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
So these are the monitors, Simon, in the studio. These are the
built into the wood. Lovely.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that, Brad.
Look at that.
That's amazing.
Aye? Holy cow.
What's amazing about that is they didn't take up all the tracks doing it, It didn't.
Simon.
It doesn't sound cluttered or...
There's no TV screens, Simon. There's no monitors, Simon.
Yes, my point exactly. No TV screens, just speakers. Pay attention with your ears. Shut your eyes.
So there's Ken there in the process of setting up the mics. 12 mics around Mick's kit. And yeah.
Yeah, Keith, just to pick up on a comment on Keith Campbell says a red boom box. Yeah, Keith, I'm sure you know this. In the old days, they'd have a boom box so that they would play mixes on a very cheap kind of, boom box stereo that people would have at home to see what they sounded like.
Yeah, and also Lindsay
on these massive monitors, it's not quite the same thing as listening to a transistor radio in your car.
Yeah, and also Lindsay and Stevie too were recording just on a standard cassette, so they would bring them in and play them on a standard cassette for them to develop a little bit further as well. So, but Brad, you might be interested in this. So when I was doing some research, they were talking about this. Gosh, I didn't take the notes, but it's a boost. It's called, I forget the name. Someone's going to have to do some research.
What? The Eric Clapton boost.
Well, it's not the Eric. It was done by the guys at Ambelic. But this is the modification here. So it was a switch there which would give you 15 decibels worth of boost, and because obviously Lindsay was running through Marshalls and high watt amps, and he, and using a lot of distortion. A lot of those solos that he was using on that album, if you listen to them, distorted. So and obviously on Strats as well, using a lot of these solos. So there's a picture there of the switch there underneath where the input jack goes.
Wow.
So I've got some details about this. So Rick Turner,
that's the name. Yeah,
he did the co-founded Alembic in 1970. He was involved in the design and construction of all the Alembic instruments. He'd made that 12 dB boost cut equalizer knob.
Strat in a
Wow.
box. Strat in a box is what they called it.
Yeah.
And there's the 9-volt battery there, carved in the back.
Hey.
So there's the high watt. There's a picture there of the custom high watts that Lindsay used. Apparently blew up a few of those in the studio. And Brad will be happy there. Some Marshalls super leads. There he is there with the Strat. And there is the that Strat and the Strat boost.
Cool.
And there's another picture there. You can see it there on the back of the Strat there. Hold on, guys. Right, there's the one of the alembic basses that John was using. This is not the fretless one, but highly sought after bass player's bass. Yeah. Custom made, neck through. What do they call the when you've got active circuitry?
Active pickups.
There he is there. That's with the fretless with the fiberglass neck. I've got another picture there. Just love it. There it is there. Here's the baby. Look at that. You either love it or hate it. No frets, no markers, Simon.
Yeah.
You're using your ears there.
Yeah. Well, it's like playing a violin, isn't it? Or a cello or a viola. You know, got to know where to put your fingers.
And there's the fretted version. Another pic of the studio, or was that the one that we showed earlier? Yeah, that's it. All right, thank you, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me while we flick through some pics there.
That's good.
Yeah, gives a real flavour to it. That's really cool. As we skip over to side 2.
Yeah.
Okay. The chain. Okay, so after 5 days of miking, and everyone going, holy shit, are these guys actually going to do something? This was the song that apparently the band played, well, parts of it, that made everyone behind the desk go, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. What have we got here? This band sounds great together when the drums and the bass and Lindsay's playing. So all members, Simon wrote the song, one of the few Fleetwood Mac songs accredited to all the members of the band from different eras of the band. Apparently parts of it goes back to a song that Lindsay wrote in the early 70s. What else have I got here? You've got the resonator going on in there. That bass solo apparently came from the first day, and they decided to keep that in there. What else have I got? I think that's probably about it. Again, guys, I love the bass. I love the chain. I didn't want to highlight any comments earlier that people were talking about in the chat before. I never understood the song, Brad, for a long, long time. I don't know why. There was just something, when I was younger that I couldn't quite get with this song, but I love this song. Great side 2. Brad scored this. It's 100 out of 10, and it's never a skip.
Wow. Yeah, look, I have to say this, it's a cool song, a great way to start the second side as well. Is it dobro? I'm hearing dobro guitar playing.
Dobro. Yep.
Yeah, that dobro sound is sensational. And there's like electric guitar there doubling and sort of playing along as well with the kick drum, just keeping time. I love that stuff. It's very bluesy for me. That's got a very bluesy feel to it. A really great intro. When the band kicks in, it's just great. It's like talking about Goosebumps before and what'd you call it? Chicken skin or whatever?
Chicken skin.
KFC skin or whatever everyone in the bloody chat was talking about before. Southern style chicken skin.
Made you hungry, didn't it?
Yeah. Look, the vocal melody is great. The harmonies are like stellar. They're just fantastic. The you can really feel the energy of like a breakup in this song. You're really feeling it in this song.
Yeah.
More so than the other ones, for me anyway. The bass breakdown's pretty cool. I love the tension in the guitar playing, especially in the lead guitar parts. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and it's never a skip for me. Rock Professor.
No. Clearly the thing I'd say, famously in the UK, the theme tune to the Formula One program. I think they're still using it, regardless of what channel it's on. Seems to be just attached to Formula One. So whenever you watch a Formula One, ding, 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 ding. It's a brilliant way to come in as well, isn't it? That kind of ding, 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 ding. So fade in kind of thing. It's a strong opening.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got much to say. Again, I just say that that guitar solo again, simple, but emotional and effective. Just really hits the nail on the head without having to play 1,000 notes and do all of that.
Hey, crappy.
So it's a it's a 10 out of 10 from me, and never a skip. It's it's a fantastic opener, fantastic song, still an absolute favourite. And as I say, what's brilliant about this record, I knew every single song on this record before I played it. I can hear it in my head, and to be honest, there aren't that many records that I can do that. Lots that I can't remember all of them, but this one I can absolutely remember all of the tracks and how they go without having to listen to them. And I think that's a tremendous accolade in my books.
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. 10 out of 10. Never a skip from me. Fantastic opener.
You Make Loving Fun is the next song. Christine's song. What a great intro. And then the bass comes in, and then you got the keyboards. What is the is that the cymbals, or is it the
hi-hats?
Hi-hats. The hi-hat. Yeah, the hi-hats. Yeah. Oh,
eighth note hi-hat, isn't it?
You know exactly what's coming up. Again, another classic song. I love it. That bass and drums just fits like a hand in glove. I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, guys. I just love it. It's fantastic. And then you get hit in the face with beautiful vocals by Christine. It was lovely listening to her play on her Steinway, on side one, but I just think she just sounds so much better when she's got a band behind her. Her vocals on this is just fantastic. Apparently, Rock Professor, it's a song about a dog, but we know it's not really. Apparently, it's a song about Curry, her boyfriend.
Who said it was a song about a dog?
Yeah, read the book. It's what they said in reference to in the studio to keep John from having meltdowns, because they only wanted John to have 6 screwdrivers, not 12. But a song about
what would a bass player do with 6 screwdrivers? Let's be fair.
A screwdriver. It's a drink. The vodka drink.
Yes, thank you. Yes. I'm being willfully.
Okay. All right. Oh, shit.
Keep up,
sorry.
please.
Okay. But obviously it's a song about her boyfriend, and I get it. I pick up the sparkle in her voice about the song. Sweet wonderful you make me happy with the things you do. It's just like, great, love it. Everyone's gonna love this song. Brad, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I love the song.
Yeah, look, it's a great song. It reminds me, again, of cruising along driving. It's the vocals and the melodies in this song, they're just outstanding. The lead guitar work, they're so smooth, that smooth solo. Again, harmonies. There's something that, this album, they really captured the vocals, not just like putting the perfect vocal there, but actually getting the emotion behind the vocals. I love the song. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and it's never a skip for me. Rock Professor.
Yeah. That kind of, yes, absolutely. It's kind of R&B inspired songs with a clavinet and stuff. It's all, could almost be like a sort of Stevie Wonder-esque type thing. not quite into Twisted Movies and play like that, but yeah, I think it's but also quite an upbeat song, isn't it? You know, clearly about her her boyfriend's the band's lighting technician, and you know, clearly a much more upbeat song than the rest of them, which is just split up songs in many ways. So you know, again, a piece of you know, the different sound with a clavinet, and also that kind of more upbeat kind of view, you know, I'm in a new relationship and it's all cool kind of thing, which I think is you know, both things are a good contrast, you know, and a really, and you know, if we talk about programming, a really good place to put it on a record, you know. It's not it's not all the same subject matter, slightly different, but 9 out of 10 for me, never a skip. You know, again, another example of, you know, great backing vocals and just everything being given the space to, you know, to really breathe in the song, so you hear everything properly and you know, don't feel crowded in by it. So yeah, 9 out of 10, never skip. Cool stuff.
Awesome. We've got some chats in the chat. We've got Lake District Ambient Guitars joining us.
must be from the UK.
Yeah, he's been in the chat with us a few times. Just hold on, guys. So just getting some notes up here. So I don't want to know. Gosh, what an easy song to play, guys. You know, it's an A, E, D, and an E. It's just fantastic. And then, you know, the chorus is an A, D, and E again. It's a fantastic song. Love it. But Stevie Nicks' vocals and back in the mix is just fantastic, the way that it sits in there. And I like, Brad, the way that the guitar comes in and out of the mix. I love it. And Rock Professor, you've got that bouncy bass going along there, just playing again root. He's just playing root chords, makes it work. Fantastic. Brad, I've got to give this an 8 out of 10. It's never a skip.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes here. I think it's got like a, you know, what do you call it? Like a country feel? Is it that? Would that sort of have a with gospel harmonies? That's kind of like the vibe I got from listening to this over and over again. That up drumming with the bass line, it's so locked in that, and the bass line's making the drum line swing. Like the drums aren't really swinging, but if you listen to the bass going between the drum beats, it gives it swing, which is that's quite unique to be able to do that as a bass player. Yep. So that was something that was really stood out to me. The dual vocals are really done really well, and they sung so great together. There's some classy guitar work. It's a catchy little ditty. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's never a skip. It's a great song.
I think the vibe I saw was that it's a sort of Buddy Holly influence to it. That kind of, well, there's that kind of country rock and roll thing, which is done absolutely. Brad, you picked up on that, I feel. So apparently, this is a bit of an insight into the way things work. You know, that is written by Stevie Nicks in '74, and she was unhappy about the decision to put the song on Rumours because she wanted another of her songs called Silver Springs put on, and but basically Mick Fleetwood said Silver Springs is too long. It's too long. We think of another of your songs is better. So apparently she got very upset and started screaming "Blue Murder" and and they said, the band said, you can either A, take a hike, or B, you better go out there and sing I Don't Want to Know, or you're going to have only 2 songs on the record. So basically, with a gun to my head, I went out and sang I Don't Want to Know. And then they put Silver Springs on the back of Go Your Own Way, which I think is quite a nice insight into clearly the dynamics of the band and you know.
Read Ken's book because he offers a bit of a different.
Does he?
That's
that's Stevie Nicks' version of it. Oh, I'm sure there are others.
Well, certainly. Okay, I'll spoil it. So, she was never
done it?
threatened with get out of here or anything like that. They said obviously they couldn't fit the song in, and she didn't want to edit Silver Streams, which is on the reissues anyway, and went on to be included on Belladonna. But she went home and realised herself apparently that shit. If I don't sing this other song that Mick is talking about, I won't have 3 songs. So she came back herself, rock professor, and you know, and said, "Oh, saw the cash registers going ka-ching, ka-ching."
Yeah. I don't know. What I'm quoting from is from a 1991 BBC interview. About it. So I don't know. Anyway,
she contradicts herself so many times too. Anyway, but we still love her.
Yeah, but it's still that thing about the band dynamic of you're not having that one yet. That you've got to go and do that one kind of thing. It's better for the album, whichever way she kind of painted it. Doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fun. 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Lovely jaunty song, and again. It's another thing about contrast, isn't it? Different vibes, different. This is a much more upbeat song and kind of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely understand why you would want this on the album because that's how it works.
Awesome. Oh, Daddy, and we're not talking about Simon. Oh, Daddy.
Yeah. Oh, Daddy. The next line is not. Can you send me some money? Which is what happens in my life.
Look, guys. I have to say I cheated a little bit. I just wanted to see what Wikipedia had to say this afternoon before I jumped on, and I looked at a couple of things, and I thought this was an interesting little fact and I didn't know this, but the song, according to Wikipedia, was about again her boyfriend Curry at the time, and I always was under the impression that it was about Mick Fleetwood because he was the only actual daddy in the band at the time. So I went back and had a look and read what Ken had to say, and Ken said the same thing, that apparently it's a song to Mick, which is pretty interesting. We always like to know where songs come from. Brad, the acoustic guitars in the right hand mix is amazing, bro. You mentioned the acoustic guitars before and how they're difficult to record. Oh, Daddy is a good remix, a good recording of the acoustic guitars, and the way that you've got the vocals on the left-hand side, again, pure genius. And then the rock professor will be happy here. You've got a Moog and a Hammond B3 going on as well under the current. Brad, I wanted to give this a 10 out of 10, but I'm going to give it a 9.5. I'm going to give it the first half score because I think it deserves that score. I think it deserves a 0.5. So I'm going to give it a 9.5. Lovely Christine song.
It is. It's a wonderful mellow song. It's got like a real heartfelt vocal to it. Lots of space in this song. There's parts of it that sort of they're really open. They could have filled it with more. They could have filled the song with lots more, but they didn't, and I love that they didn't. That's the production on this song is amazing. The harmonies are great. There's some great bass playing in this song. The drums are obviously swinging along. Look, it's second last song on the official record, and I think it fits perfectly on the album as the second last song. I didn't rate it as high as you did, Andrew, but I gave it an 8 out of 10 and never a skip.
Okay, that's cool. Rock Professor.
Yeah. Interesting. I think my research said that Mick Fleetwood is the daddy in the song, but not because he's a dad, because he's the key in keeping the band together. And they called him daddy for that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Different interpretation, different stories. Clearly, in 40 years, it's one of those things. 43 years or whatever it is, it's going to come out. But again, a very kind of atmospheric, slow, ballad of a song that I think, you know, is really good here. It's a really good place for it to be, you know. And I think that, you know, in contrast to, I have said this in the past, the second last song on an album is where you hide the duffer kind of thing. Clearly not a duffer, this song. It's a great song, you know. Again, as you say, the kind of, you know, lots of improvised bass guitar patterns from John McVie. Apparently did quite a lot of improvisation on it, and you know, keyboard like flutes, and I even detect, I think there might be a gong in there somewhere. Apparently I did, I'm sure I heard a gong. I did go back and listen to it again. No, clearly gong. 8.5 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Lovely song.
Awesome. We've got Sonia in the chat, guys. Hey, Sonia,
Yeah,
haven't seen you
Sonia.
for a long time.
Hey Sonia, hope you're good.
Always good to see you.
Healthy. Unlike me.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cowbells and rock and roll, gentlemen. What is it about cowbells and rock and roll? I don't know. There's something about it.
Cowbell.
Every rock and roll drummer has got to have a cowbell, Brad. What do you reckon?
Well, you know, that's more cowbell, they say. Isn't that what they say? More cowbell.
More cowbell.
Yeah, more cowbell.
Oh, look, Gold Dust Woman, jeepers. You know, harpsichord with a phaser. You know, when I was a young fellow, I didn't know that a harpsichord could be played through a phaser. I had no idea that I didn't know what it was. I assumed it was a guitar doing that kind of stuff. Delicate
Neither
bass.
did Bark.
Yeah. Delicate bass going on the song. I love it. Stevie Nicks' vocals on this song, in my opinion, and her vibrato especially. I just love her vibrato. It actually comes out, guys, in my opinion, to my ears a lot more in the song. It's probably one of her best vocals on the album. What else have I got here? You got Christine also singing on the right here, and then you have Lindsay on the left here with Stevie's vocals, and it's just, gosh, you know, we keep saying it, guys. You can listen to a rock and roll album on your stereo, but you go and listen to it on a good set of headphones, you pick up just a little bit more. Rock and roll's got to be listened to through headphones too, guys. I've got here, it's just a sublime experience. You know, I just, and I've underlined it. Brad, you've got the dobro resonator coming through again on there. I've got a landscape song. This is a song that paints a landscape in my mind. Always loved this song. Heartbreaking to know what the song's about. You know, it's about, you know, people going through bad experiences, but isn't that one of the great things about music, you know, that you can take this bad experience that people are going through and write a great song? Love it. I'm going to give this song a 10 out of 10.
This is the last song of side B, side 2, and obviously there was an extra track on a re-release. But this, we talk about the structure of an album and the way what songs come in what order, and I just think this is the most fantastic ending song for a record. It's fantastic. Yes. This song has a feel that leaves you hanging, like you're sort of hanging. You're not sure. Like you feel like there should be something happening, but it's leaving you hanging the whole time, and that is an amazing thing to do as a songwriter. To leave someone hanging is just unbelievable. I can't describe it, but you get lost in the vibe in a great way, if that makes sense. There's some amazing vocals, as Andrew's alluded to, and the harmonies. You know, the way that you've described the split with the harmonies, Andrew, that was very clear to me as well. There's great melody, and the chorus is very catchy. You can feel the pain in the vocal delivery. It's there. I need to acknowledge there's some wonderful guitar playing. There's lots of layers of overdubs that I can hear of guitar. That to me can be done in an amazing way or really cheesy way, but it's just like ambient. It's done very much like what Pink Floyd do at times. Like there's ambience going on with the guitars, not necessarily, overkill, for example. I love the percussive feel. It's fantastic. Great way to end the album, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. Never a skip for me.
Awesome. Rock Professor.
Yeah, completely. Yes, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's that beginning bit and the use of the dobro as a kind of it's almost kind of like another percussion instrument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clearly he's not playing it in the traditional dobro way. He's using it like that. I've always loved that opening line: "Rock on, Gold Dust Woman." Take your spoon and dig your grave. That's a brilliant opening couplet. That is, well done for that. Just has an evocation about it that always drags me, pulls me in.
Rock and roll and spoons. The Rolling Stones sung songs about needles and spoons too, didn't they?
One of my favorite
Dead Flowers.
One of my favorite bands, the Soundgarden, did Spoon Man.
Yeah.
Spoon? What's this spoons bit? I thought spoons was a skiffle thing. Different era, you see. But so yes, I mean, I think it's got a fantastic atmosphere. Clearly she worked on it a lot. Really, bought into did loads of takes of it, trying to get it right throughout the night. And then Lindsey Buckingham, to his credit, went away and did lots of the overdubs with electric guitars and the dobro and all those sorts of things. But I agree with you about that kind of that using the sort of atmospherics, like the drums of the dobro and the electric sounds like an approaching storm to me. It's kind of very kind of atmospheric use. And Brad, I think that's a really interesting point about that Pink Floyd thing about using just ethereal sounds and to create an atmosphere on a track as much as the melody and the things. So 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. That's one of my favorites on the record. That's really good. As I say, that kind of opening thing is just great from my point of view.
I have to agree with you guys. I think it's a fantastic album closer. I just just imagine you've listened to this album and you've listened to this song. You got to go and put the album on again. It's back in the day when we were having parties and stuff like that, I kid you not. So I'm listening to Van Halen with friends and AC/DC, and we're listening to blues, and we're listening to U2, and we're listening to this album. This album was on constant rotation with my friends. So, I love the album. I've enjoyed ranking this album with you guys. I was looking forward to it. I think we've done it justice. We've given it a fair go, and it deserves its place on our channel because Mick Fleetwood and John McVie have been important contributors to a lot of great albums, Brad. So. Yeah.
None better.
100%.
I mean, I'd like to say 39 minutes and 58 seconds. 40, just 2 seconds under 40 minutes. The perfect album length.
A perfect album and a perfect album. It's back in the day when writing an album was important. A band was determined on whether or not its success by its peers was by the albums it produced, not a song. So we got to remember that. The Rock Professor and I and Brad, we talk about that often. The Rolling Stones, for example, were the success was an album, Brad, not just a song. Yeah. So, I love the album. I appreciate the fact that you guys have given me an opportunity to spend 2 hours talking with you and everyone in the chat about it.
It's been great. Yeah. Andrew, quick question I've got for you, because you've read Ken's book, and you're fairly up to speed with the information in the book. When you did say you cross-reference Wikipedia, how did you find? Was there a slight amount of variation in the truth behind the stories, or did you go?
No. So I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. what blew me away when I checked Wikipedia is that there is an entry for every song, which is remarkable. So that in itself proves that the information that's available, and there's referencing to Ken's book too, because obviously you can't go on Wikipedia and offer an opinion without backing it up or making a reference to something. So at the top of the show, bro, we were talking about how this book's really important because this guy is still lucid, has a memory, and I think he released this book in 2012 or something like that. So he's given you and I and everyone else who loves rock and roll music this great legacy of what was used. Everything that we want, everything we love is in this book, Simon.
Right.
Yeah.
But so Wikipedia is resourceful, or did you find it resourceful? Or?
Well,
Yeah.
the entries on Wikipedia reference back to this book. So so the entries in Wikipedia were pretty good, as opposed to internet articles.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the internet, just because it's on the internet and people reference it by some hack, doesn't necessarily mean it's telling the truth, does it?
Right. Okay. No, I just thought I'd check, because sometimes I find Wikipedia is a little bit off to what I've read, and
Big time.
with other bands I'm talking about. So in reference to that book, that's great. That's awesome.
And
I think that
and that's a great question. Thank you for asking that, because I don't often use Wikipedia, but I was just interested in seeing, because we had that book, what Wikipedia was going to say. So yeah, thank you for asking that question.
I think
that's fine.
That's also the point that, if you're talking about something that happened 44 years ago, you might have a different perspective and a slightly different story now than you did then. Or, somebody asks you about something in 2015 you did in 1977. You might have produce a different perspective, a different story than you did when, if you were asked about it in 1978 kind of thing.
The book is believable, in my opinion. The book is
I'm sure that's right, because you've got
Yeah.
no axe to grind about. Yes, he's an external source, really. yes, you're just trying to tell it how it was. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's probably more believable than anything anybody in the band says, to be honest, in many ways.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Andrew, for picking that record. It was a great little journey to listen to that again. It was great.
No problem. I appreciate hanging out with you guys. So, as usual, everyone that's in the chat, if you want to find out the album that we're going to discuss next week, you have to follow the Rock Professor at Simon Williams 33 or what?
I'm Williams 33. That's me.
That's right. Oh, yeah, it's been a long time since I've said it. And or Brad at Brad Cook Music, because that's the only way that you're going to find out after we decide what album is going to be discussed. I forget whose pick it is. It's one of these two rat bags. I'm out of the pick.
I think it's Brad's the next pick.
Oh, okay, Brad's pick. Yes, it is. Yeah.
So because I did the one previous to this one, so it can't be me again.
Okay. so it's the Backdoor Man's pick. All right. So we look forward to that. Look, you guys have been honest with your scores. I've appreciated it, and everyone else in the chat. Good to see Warren and a few other faces we haven't seen for a while. Sonia. I'm going to ask you guys to sign off. I'm going to go and grab something to eat. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for hanging out with us. Please do us a favor. Can you share our channel link on your social media accounts and ask your friends to say, hang out with these three guys. They might know one or two things about music, but if they don't, they'll bullshit about it.
We don't bullshit here, Andrew. We don't bullshit. No, but just to mirror what Andrew said there. Thanks for everyone for joining us, and please share our channel. It's the only way we're going to get this channel growing. If you are watching this back at a later date, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up.
I know you've got a few subs from yesterday, so after yesterday's show. So good stuff, guys.
Oh, great.
That's good. Moving on up. Yeah.
We'll get to 1,000.
Fantastic. Yeah. And great to see Warren in the chat. Great to see you, Warren, mate. I hope you're all right.
Yeah.
Things are going all right. In the right direction.
Thank you, Greg Zeppelin.
We'll see you
Good
guys
night.
next week for another
Good night,
album
boys.
of goodies.
Peace.
Peace. Peace.
I'll put a link later on after I've had some dinner to that book here on this channel if you guys want to go and check that book out.
Good.
It's available on Kindle as well if you don't want to go and get the hardback version. But yeah, it's a defining book. Out of the way.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye all. Take care. Stay safe.